As someone who's quite obviously a massive car geek, there's often times I wonder things about the automotive world that isn't strictly about tyres. One of those things is what difference a DCT gearbox makes compared to a manual, but I've never seen it tested properly. Luckily, I can answer this question. This car is quite obviously Goodyear's M2 Competition 2019 with about 4,000 miles on and a DCT gearbox. And this is GT's M2 Competition 2019, about 4,000 miles on with a manual gearbox. BMW say this car should get to 62 miles an hour, 100 kilometers an hour in 4.2 seconds, whereas that's 4.4 seconds. But I'm wondering whether that's strictly true and whether the reliability of the launches on the manual or the DCT will be any different. I'm going to normalise the wheels and tyres so I've got a controlled wheel and tyre between the two cars, and using Mara I can use exactly the same part of the surface. It's worth noting the surface at Mara is a sort of average grip, might be a little bit smoothed out because it's quite a high use circuit. So I don't expect it to be exactly the same conditions that BMW launched these cars from, but it will be an interesting view to how the factory book time compares to something you can do on an actual road surface that you drive on. Let's go find out whether a DCT really is quicker or whether with a bit of driving skill I can get the manual to keep up. Okay, while I'm warming up the car at Mara's number 2 circuit, I might as well tell you a few stats. Both cars are powered by identical S55 engines which put out 410 horsepower and 550 Newton meters of torque. Although having driven them for a while, I believe those figures are a little bit conservative. I weighed both cars here at Mara, and without me in the car but a full tank of fuel in both, the manual is 1,650 kilos and the automatic, the DCT, is 1,683 kilos. However, they have two different types of seats. They're the major difference apart from the gearbox. This one has the sport seats and the other car has the normal seats. Now, because I'm me, I took the seats out and weighed the seats, and it turns out the sport seats are heavier for some reason by 1.5 kilos. So the manual car will be running with 3 kilos in the footwell because I like things to be that precise. Finally, the gearboxes. Well, I've been thinking about this. The DCT has an advantage in shift speed, but then I had a thought. The DCT is 7-speed and the manual is 6-speed. This means the DCT might, in theory, have to shift to third before 62 miles an hour or 100 kilometers an hour. So first launch of the day in this DCT car will be the holy grail launch. It will be the launch control launch. The perfect launch is something between 10 and 30% rear wheel slip, so the car should manage that. So this should be the fastest launch of the day and everything else should get slower. But let's try. Stop on that cat eye so I get the same spot every time. First gear and right. Oh, that's quick. 4.61. Okay, perhaps a little bit too much wheel spin for that one. I will go around and redo that again. All right, same position again, same routine again. Foot on brake, foot on accelerator, launch control, and go. Let the car change the gears. Bit of slip again. This feels better this time. 4.48. Gonna carry on going to 100. Okay, so I can't actually give you the 0 to 100 time because my data logger broke, sadly, and I'm using GTs, which doesn't show me 2 different 0 to 100 or 2 different acceleration times. Go. Felt good again, but is it 4.38? So that's 3 attempts with launch control, and the best we've got is a 4.4 seconds. So that's 0.2 seconds under BMW, but that just goes to prove the point that 0 to 60 times is sometimes done in ideal conditions, because I can't do anything different because it's using launch control. So I'm gonna loop back round and have one more attempt, but in a slightly different way. Okay, this version of the launch is a much easier one. It's as a traffic light, automatic gearbox, traction control on. Go. Oh, that doesn't get away quite as nicely. You know what? This is changing to third before 60. That's interesting. So that was a 4.61 seconds without launch control, with traction control on, with everything. Well, that's super interesting. So I reckon if the manual doesn't have to shift to third before 60, I got a chance with this. I've got a chance. It's going to take some skill, which I probably don't have, but I'm going to give it a good go. And You know what, as much as I love DCT for testing, and DCT is really good for testing, ain't half boring for like launch control and acceleration. You don't do anything but cover the brake and stomp the accelerator. Anyway, manual time. Right, now I'm in the manual. This is where things get fun. Same wheels and tyres, same spot on track, air conditions off, same temperature, and same car, except for I'm controlling the launch. The first time is going to be a standard traction control on, just a 0 to 60, as you probably would to get away from the lights quickly. So we'll go, we won't dump the clutch. Oh, that already felt slow. Traction control cutting on second phase. 5.42 with traction control on, the cut in second phase. As I said before, the optimum slip for acceleration is between 10 and 30%. So if traction control cuts it as soon as it gets less than 10% slip, it's going to hurt the time. Okay, first gear, about 3,000, too much. 3.5. Way too much wheel spin. 4.83. So that's about 0.4 of a second off the DCT, but I had way too much wheel spin in the first phase. Like the rears were just spinning up. So time for another go. I can do this all day. I hope the clutch can. Attempt 2 with everything off. Come on. Ah, that's so much worse. 5.05 seconds. Less wheel spin on the first phase. Oh, come on. 4.75. I rolled, man. I'm not using the rollout as you do in drag racing, so one more. Less wheel spin in the first phase. I'm going to use lower RPM. Way too much wheel spin. What's a 5.3? Okay, one more. Be better, Jonathan. That was good. 4.62, and I'm going to keep going to 100. Okay. 4.62 compared to 4.38. So that's essentially 0.2 of a second, which is what BMW say the difference is, which is annoying. I wanted to beat that DCT box, but I think that was as good a launch as I was going to get. I've done 5 launches on this clutch and I don't want to break the clutch, so I think I'm going to call that a day.
Enabling the 1 foot rollout on the data logger might have improved the times, but did nothing to change the overall results. Looking at the data, it's clear why. Even when changing gears as quickly as the M2 gearbox allowed, the drop in acceleration was huge when compared to the almost unnoticeable DCT gearbox. With the extra shift time, the race to 100 miles an hour was lost by an even bigger margin, with the manual car taking nearly a full second more to reach 100.
Well, now we know manual gearboxes are in fact slower than automatics. Interestingly, my very good friend Joe Achilles, who's a god of everything BMW and has an M2 Competition, and on a probably a slightly high grip surface, I think he said he did a 4.2 to 60 with normal tyres on, I think the stock OE tyres, and then he switched to the Cup 2 tyre, and he said he pretty much did a 4 flat. So on a high grip surface, you will find that these cars are faster, unsurprisingly. This surface is Mara, as I said in the intro, it's a medium grip surface at best, representing a kind of dusty, normal road. And its surface where I've been launching is where we do the brake testing. So while there's some rubber down, it's also probably a little bit smooth. So that's why I can't match the BMW official figures, even with a very good UHP tyre on and launch control on the DCT. It just doesn't match up. But I got as fast as the DCT without launch control by launching myself. So that's a sort of win, I guess. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. As always, if you've not subscribed, I'd really appreciate that. A lot of people watch this channel not subscribed and get the notifications, but that little subscribe button will give me a bigger number to be able to do more of these tests. If you've got any suggestions for these vehicle testing, there's lots of tyre stuff coming. There's some really good winter tyre content coming. But if you've got any ideas for vehicle testing, like brake testing, things like that, anything you'd really want to see that hasn't been done properly, maybe something that's been done but hasn't been done properly with proper data logging, I'm always happy to do that kind of stuff. So put your thoughts and suggestion, and as always, safe motoring.